All right, here we go. In this video, we're going to show how to add a battery and LED to be cut out on or in Adobe Illustrator. So by the end of the video, students should be able to have added a battery spot and an LED spot with the wires connecting the two that could be cut out on our laser cutter. So if you recall, I had you guys write these measurements down, but if you did not write the measurements down, then you'll want to open up that Day 4 slideshow on Schoology and come down to slide number 5 where your project constraints are at. And that is where you will find all the measurements we'll be using today, okay? All right, so I want to make sure that I am on my cut layer, so I'm just going to click to select that layer. And everything that I want to add on here, I want to make sure I'm on cut. So the first thing we want to add is we want to add the spot for our 3-volt coin battery, okay? So we know that that's a simple circle. So we're going to come over here to our toolbar and we're going to choose where this rectangle tool is. We can see that at the bottom right of it there's a little triangle, which means there's more tools hiding underneath it. So if I hold down my left mouse button, the little pop-up will come up that shows me the other tools that are hidden here. I want to use this ellipse tool right here because that's going to allow me to create a perfect circle. And once I click to choose that tool, I can click one time right here on my artboard anywhere and I will get this little pop-up box right here. So for the width and the height on this, the diameter of it is 0.786 inches. Okay, so I want to type that into both of my boxes, 0.786 inches. Okay, and then I'm going to click OK. Now as you can see, it just drew me a black circle here, but I know that that cannot be filled in black because it's being cut out. So I'm going to come up here and change this to none for the fill color. Going to change my stroke line color to the RGB red, and I'm going to change my stroke size from 1 PT to 0.001 enter. Okay, and I'm just going to click out here anywhere so that I have my circle now for my battery. Okay, so you have to make a decision, where is your battery supposed to be placed on your object to be cut out, right? I am going to move mine over here to this bottom corner. I might decide I want it in the middle down here at the bottom or up here, wherever I decide that I think it will look best. I'm going to put mine right here. And now I'm ready to add the spot right here for my wire. Okay, so to do that, I want to come back up here, and this time I want to use the rectangle tool. So I'm going to click this little drop down, the little box again, left click and hold, and I'm going to go to the rectangle tool. Okay, so for that one, I am going to just click anywhere out here again to start drawing my rectangle, and I can look at the sizes that I have on the slideshow or in my sketchbook, my design notebook, that the width for the wires is 0.0175 and the height for the wires should be 0.5, so they're about 1/2 inch long, and then that's the width for them. So once I have that measurement, I'm going to click OK. Because the last thing that I used was the settings for my cut lines, I don't have to make any changes up here. It still should be none, RGB red, and 0.001. But now I have to decide which direction is my LED going to be facing. Is it going to be coming up off of this? Is it going to be coming out to the right of this? So that I know where to move this to. Okay, so I'm going to click on my black selection tool. And I am going to put mine coming out here off this side. Like if I wanted it here, I would just go ahead and move it wherever I wanted it. Okay, and I should see these little green lines coming up that's showing me where the center of this is at to center it. But I want mine to be over here to the right. Okay, So I am going to hold down the Shift key, and I'm going to hover over the outside till I get that double-edged arrow like that. And I'm going to click my left mouse button down and turn twice to make it a perfect 90-degree angle. And then I'm going to position it where it is intersecting with the center of my circle on this side, okay? I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you guys can see what I'm doing down here. So what I need to happen here is I need this shape and this shape to be joined together so that it will cut them both out and there won't be any gap in between them, okay? So I'm going to click this, and I'm going to use my arrow key, my left arrow key, and arrow over one time so that this is just barely overlapping my circle, okay? And I really don't even want it to overlap that much. Like, I just want it to be over the tiniest bit, about like that, okay? Once I get it overlapping, I'm going to click on it to select it, and then I'm going to hold down the Shift key to select the circle. I have to click on the line for it to select it so that both of my shapes are selected, okay? Then I want to come up here to Window and down to the Pathfinder tool. So I'm going to click Pathfinder. This little box should open up. And what I'm wanting to do is I'm wanting to unite these two shapes together. So the very top one under Shape Modes right here, very top left, is Unite. I'm going to click that. And I will see, if I click off of this now, that those two shapes have been joined together to make a new shape. Okay? So that's what I want. Remember, you should be saving often, so I'm going to hit Control S to save so far what I've done. And now I need to make the spot down here on the end for the LED itself. Okay, so we're going to go back and look at our measurements again for our LED bulb. Okay, and so for this, I want my shape to be a rounded rectangle. Okay, so I'm going to come back and I am going to left click and hold down and choose rounded rectangle. I'm going to click one time over here to get my little box to pop up to put my measurements in. And I can see that the width should be 0.19. The height, which I have labeled as L for length on ours, the height is going to be 0.357. And that our corner radius is going to be 0.19. Okay, once I have those three measurements in there, I'm going to click OK. I'm going to see that it made like this rounded rectangle. But if I look at the actual LEDs, they are not rounded on both ends. One end is rounded and one end is flat. Okay, so to cut this piece off of here so that I don't have it added on here, I am going to come up here to where the eraser tool is, and I'm going to click and hold down until I see the knife tool. I'm going to choose that. And then I want to cut off this end. So I am going to hold down the Alt key so that it'll draw a perfectly straight line, and I'm going to start drawing my line where these 2 points are right here. So I'm going to make sure I'm outside. I'm going to click, drag my line through these 2 squares, make sure it's a straight line, make sure it's outside of the image before I let go of both the Control key and the mouse button. Okay, when I do that, it's divided my shape now. So I am going to click on my black arrow, and then I'm going to click out here to deselect everything. And then I'm going to click this end, hit the delete key, and now it's deleted that piece, so all I have is this piece right here, okay? And then I want to move this to attach it to this end. So again, I'm going to have to rotate it if mine's going this direction instead of going this direction. If it was going up there, I would just drag it up there. But mine needs to come over here, so I'm going to click it. I'm going to hold down the Shift key again and hover out here until I see my double edge. And I'm going to rotate twice till I get to a perfect 90 degree. I'm going to drag this down here until it says it's intersected, it's centered. Again, I want it to just be barely over the edge for where my wires are going to be at. Okay. All right, so then after I get it moved to here, or wherever I'm moving it to, I want to click on it and make sure I have it selected, because when we cut off the end of that, we lost some of the length that we needed it to be. So I want to go back up here where my width is at, okay? And I want to make sure that whatever's in this box, that I change it to 0.333 and hit enter, so that it will make it the same length as my LED light, okay? Once I have changed the size of it, then I'm going to go ahead and move it down to where it's just barely touching, overlapping that. Okay, mine's just barely overlapping. I'm going to click to select it. Right. I'm going to hold down the Shift key to select my other shape. And I'm going to come back up here to my Pathfinder tool that we should still have open, where it says Shape Modes, and I'm going to go to Unite again. Click that. And then once I click off of everything, I should see that I have my shape here for my battery, my wires, and my LED lights. I'm going to hit Control S and save that. And then at this point, you have just about everything done. The last thing that we want to do is make sure to resize our artboard if we did not use all of the space, and so I'll show that in our next video, and we will be finished with this project.